All right. Well, I'm glad you guys are here. Get everything going here. Moment. Do that. Yes. All right. Did you get a chance to look at the video from last week, Rose?
Yeah, I listened to some of it and then I got distracted by other things that I was doing. But I did manage to listen to bits and pieces of it. And also, my Wi Fi has been horrible. So part of it wasn't loading and blah, blah, blah. But so I
Right.
listened to some of it. And I was reading through the habit chapter 2 some today to kind of refresh it, my memory. And so I tried.
Try is all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you weren't out lifting heavy rocks and doing gardening today?
No, I have been having some uh, issues with my back the past like 3 weeks now, I think. And this week it just kind of crescendoed. And like the blocks we're lifting are like 80 pounds, and you have to like bend down on the pallet and spring it. And it's horrible. But anyway, so I pretty much threw my back out and was trying to work in a back brace. And my boss was just like, go home. So I've been off today. Only worked a little bit yesterday, so yeah, just trying to like recuperate it a little bit. And I've gotten adjusted twice this week and stuff. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And here we are in breath body practice. So
yeah.
this may be, oh, there's Andrea. I was hoping she'd jump in too tonight because, yeah, this is kind of Andrea's cup of tea too. Hi, Andrea. Oh, you're still muted. There
Okay,
you go.
I think you got me now. How are you?
Good. You look like you've been swimming also.
Yep, I just jumped in. I did try to cool off a little bit before we got started. No, this is gonna work. I decided that was my breath body practice after working all day. I needed to breathe while swimming.
Totally. Definitely. Yeah.
Good solution.
And that is what it's all about. And yep. So I figured today we're gonna deal more specifically with breath body and be habit focused. So cool. All right. Dynamic group ground rule. The one for this time around is nurture identity evolution, but I'm curious to know where you guys are at tonight. So we'll go through all of them and holler out when you see one that you say, hey, that's the one.
Okay.
Be all in, prioritize your growth, gauge your edge, nurture identity evolution, listen deeply, communicate with care and candor, accept no whining, reach out when you tweak out, overcome resistance by kindling desire, give to receive, and be ready for action.
I think there's lots that are for me, but I heard listen deeply and communicate with care and candor, and then one of the ones at the end as well. I think, yeah, reach out when you tweak out, and I think number 10. What's 10?
Give to receive.
Yep, that's the other one. They're all so good.
Mine were near okay, mine was oh my word. Sorry, I'm totally like My brain is mush today.
Oh,
The prioritize your growth, and then like, can you go up, Jill, like to the top?
Yep.
And then yeah, the be all in, because I've been struggling with that so much. Like, oh, my life's been kind of crazy lately, so it's been hard to concentrate sometimes. But that just means I need to concentrate all the harder. So yeah, those ones. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Who's calling in?
Right.
Is that Lena?
Yep, that's Lorna. She didn't get to come as Springsteen today.
Uh-uh. Can she talk when she calls in? Lorna, can you talk? I feel like the one time I called in, I couldn't talk.
Yeah, it comes and goes. She was talking earlier. No, she's unmuted, but we can't hear her. So, okay. Andrea, tell us about your ground rules. Why do those stand out to you?
Just because I think lately, my brain is getting full too. I don't know what's happening with Rose exactly, but I feel like when my brain gets full, I get really self-centered, and I don't do such a good job of listening deeply or thinking of others. So that's why I chose listening deeply. And then, I mean, part of listening deeply is being able to communicate with others. And I didn't read the description very well, so I'm not sure if I'm going into that deep enough, but yeah, showing care and speaking with care. So yeah, I feel like those are actually two edges that I could engage with. Combine yet another one. And then the other one, the one at the bottom, has to do with like give to receive, right? And that one's been coming up with me lately, because a lot of times when I get really self-centered, when I get really full in my head, it's easy to get kind of negative when you're self-centered, and I find that the cure for that is to think of someone else and notice what they need, and try to meet that need in some way, be supportive to someone else. So yeah, that's why I brought those up.
Cool. Yes. And yeah, Karen Candor. Some people are better at one and some people at the other. My edge is talking with candor. And, boldness is my word for this year. And I've been given many opportunities to speak boldly and honestly instead of being, soft and gentle and make everybody feel well sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's my edge, and that's speaking with care is another part of that. So I like that. So I have been thinking about this one this week myself.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Trusting your own voice. That's good.
Yeah.
I think the two combined are really powerful, right? Like if all you're speaking is care without any truth, it's kind of hollow and not all that useful. And if you're speaking a lot of truth without care, then that's can be harmful, right?
Yep. So. Yep. And listening deeply, the book that I've been reading about nonviolent communication and how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The basic principle is listening deeply for the need behind what someone is saying.
Yeah.
And then responding to that.
Yeah. That's great.
Actual words that they use. So, either care, or you might have to go one way or the other based on what you're listening for behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's great.
These will be good to come back to. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I like roses too, because I think being all in is, I mean, I think we all struggle with it, even as we learn stuff. And you believe it to be true, and and yet your actions just kind of follow your old habits. It's a struggle, right? To keep reminding yourself that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to become, and being all in. But
Yep. And realigning, that's kind of what we talked about that you'll listen to later when you hear the whole recording from last week.
oh yeah,
Aligning aligning your actions with what you believe, who you want to be, being all in, and then experiencing that. Oh shoot, what's the word? Integrity is not the right word, but the uncomfortableness of where your actions and your beliefs and your what you want don't line up, and then bringing those in. So, and that's that priority, because goodness knows there's a lot that besides your own, I want to keep doing what I've always been doing, whether it works or not, in your brain, or the groups that you're in and the people you interact with. Change isn't always easy. And actually, I wanted to, I've been thinking, Andrea, about what you talked about in your post way back last week about balance. And how it's a really natural thing to have that spanda that we've talked about, which is just a natural contraction and expansion. It's just how the world works. And so sometimes when you're really, really growing and you're really stretching, and your natural reaction is to contract down. Or if things are really stressful, like your head gets really full and you start to feel overwhelmed, the natural reaction is protective, and it's just to contract down. And so bringing some of those ideas, I mean, that's kind of what I heard in what the ground rules that appealed to you, is that there's just a lot of things that are making you contract and come in on yourself, and you're seeking to expand back out. So you can interact with your world again and do it nicely and kindly, and the way that you want to be showing up in your world, as opposed to the old knee-jerk reactions. Or when you're in a contracted state, sometimes it's really irritating to have to interact with people or have them crash into your world.
But if you don't, it just, things get worse. So
exactly.
When it's out of balance, if you don't balance it, it just gets toppled, right?
Right.
Just gets worse.
Yeah. But just acknowledging that just is. It's normal, it happens, and that you have tools to deal with it and then come back into expansion.
Yeah.
So that you know that that's just how it goes. And the next thing next thing to do is figure out how to expand again, how to move back out, how to deal with whatever it is that is running in your head 90 miles an hour, or filling it up, or whatever it is.
Right.
And then bringing balance. Breath body is an awesome way to do that, to use that energy and that breathing, that exercise to do it. And the thing that she talked about in the chapter, and I don't know how she does this in the audio version, because in the book there's a really beautiful list.
Yeah, it's not done well, I'll tell you that.
I know. I thought just to read through a list doesn't work well.
The audio version is worth listening to every once in a while, because whoever reads it has like a very automated voice. It's very much not her voice. Like, Kate really should just read her own book and just like reap the benefits, because she's so much, she writes in her voice, But then
Yeah.
when someone else reads it, it's awful. And there's even this one really great moment in the audio version where the reader gets it wrong and they forgot to edit it out. And she tries rereading it like several times and she gets all frustrated. It's hilarious. The audio version is almost worth it just for that. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't quite come out the same way. I ended up buying the book just because sometimes it's a faster read than listening, unless you speed it up. But both versions are nice because then if you're riding in the car or traveling a lot, you can listen. But if you have time to read it, I feel like it's actually more useful in some ways because of those charts and lists and things to have the written version. But I figure if you're doing it for a year, it's worth and you can buy it on Amazon used, the book, very reasonably. It's like less than $10.
That's good to know.
So yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. A little sales pitch.
Good input. Yes.
Yeah.
But this habit is all about balance. And by using the different types of exercise to balance your body out. The two examples that came to mind, and I know I've talked about him before because this made such an impression on me, was David Goggins and how he's this ultra marathoner. So he's racing 100 miles, doing multi, like triathlon kind of things over huge distances, bodybuilder. He's done huge physical things, and because he didn't do it in balance, the cardio and the strengthening, he didn't do the softening, and it about killed him, literally. So the importance, even when you're doing huge things, of balance. And Andrea, I know you've talked about that with your running and marathons, huge cardio stuff, but then you got to balance it with the other. And really, the harder you work one, the more you need to do the other. Because I'm sure that you stretch before you run and all these things.
After.
After.
When your muscles are warm. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, but the harder you do the one, the harder you need to do the others in order to keep things balanced. The more you contract, the more you have to expand and work at expanding. All about bringing in balance. It's, your breath body practice, as we've talked so many times, all of these habits, there's the gross level. So we're talking about doing, if you do a huge bike ride, you need to do a lot of stretching to balance it. If you run or if you do a lot of weightlifting, like 80-pound rocks, you need to do, balance the cardio and the stretching that you do in order to keep everything in balance. If you tend not to do anything, just doing a little bit of everything will start to build that balance. And as you find balance in your body that way, you start to also find it in your mind, and you'll find it in other areas of your life. Because when you're in a real contracted mental state, and I love this about yoga, because they do a lot of stretching with your front body. They talk about your back body and stretching both of them so that you get expanded. With contraction, then you expand. I've started doing it doing stretches at the end of my day because I've been doing a lot of sitting. Even if I go for my walk, I'm sleeping so much better and my hips don't hurt when I wake up because I've stretched them out and really tried to stretch my spine before I went to bed. So I'm doing some expansion before that contraction. And now I'm waking up better, which made me very, very happy. So bringing that balance in. Balance, all about balance. Contraction, expansion. And so that was my little my lecture thoughts for the day. Um, but
I have a great example of this, Jill. I'm living my example, and maybe you guys have some advice for me. But so this spring, you know, I was doing a lot of running and training for this race that didn't happen, of course, but I still was excited because for the first time in 8 years, I wasn't injured. And so I was running, like the workouts were written for like Monday through Saturday. But then Sunday is the day that I get to run with a friend of mine. So I was running like 7 days a week for weeks and weeks in a row. And even the easy runs, I was just feeling good, and I was watching, I was on the treadmill, so I would get distracted and I would just keep going because I was watching a great movie or whatever. I tend to just like be like a hamster on the wheel. And I ended up provoking or hurting hamstring. And then the other thing I added was we had this competition going with our high school kids to do these events every week. And there was one week where it was a 400-800 combo, which was really fast work, but distance. And I remember that workout specifically being really hard and not what I was prepared for. I was imbalanced because I was doing a lot of distance and not a lot of speed. And that doesn't, I mean, sprinters wouldn't even call those speed events, but for me they are. And I ended up really hurting my hamstring and aggravating an injury that was already there. And I didn't realize how bad it was until I ran my event day, and I was really slow. And I didn't realize how bad it was hurting until I was really kind of creeping in at the end, really almost hobbling, you know, like the last mile, I just had to run a 9-minute mile and I barely did it. And that's not normal. So anyway, it's been 6 weeks and I've hardly started running yet. I took 5 weeks of doing other things, biking and whatnot. So I was so out of balance that now I'm injured, right? Like, and it was a reminder to me again that even when, and I was so excited because I was balanced, you know, like back in February, even in March, I was still balanced and feeling really, really good. But then I like got carried away, right? And was really excited about it. And now I'm like toppled over. and the good thing is that since I'm toppled over, I'm learning about keeping myself balanced, you know, and not, you know, how to protect myself from hurting that hamstring again, and, you know, building up muscles that will protect it that had grown weak before, basically. And I'm remembering that in the summer, I don't have to just run. I can also bike and swim and, you know, do a lot of other activities outdoors that it's harder to do in the winter. So this is a good season to, it's not a good season to be injured, but it's a good season to remember, you know, the importance and kind of reestablish some balance, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And you have a lot of options to take the pressure off it so it can heal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yay for COVID, you don't have to worry about all the events that you're missing.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's a sad thing, but you know.
Yeah, I can't run with my friend on Sunday mornings, so that's kind of that stinks. But I biked one time, so we got caught up.
Yeah. So what are you doing to reestablish balance?
To what? Sorry.
To reestablish balance.
You
know, because you do a lot of cardio, right?
Yeah, no, I've been doing a lot more strengthening, and you can't stretch this particular area, but I can others, right? Like so I've been doing yoga, but not including the hamstring stretches, like the straight bend and stuff is really aggravating to it. I've also noticed that gardening is really aggravating to this particular injury. So I can't do like bend over gardening. I have to do squat gardening and kneeling, which is not my favorite either for my knees. But so, and then doing smaller amounts, not doing gardening blitzes of like 3 or 4 hours, so balancing that way too, like trying to do like one gardening thing a day rather than lots and lots. And then, yeah, I've been just learning a bunch of exercises that I can do to strengthen this particular area. And then some nerve, like sciatic nerve type stuff I can do as well. Because I guess they cross, right? Like upper hamstring, tailbone area, there's muscles that cover the nerve. And if they're tight, then the nerve gets irritated. So yeah, I guess maybe some learning has been part of the balance.
Yeah. But you're doing a lot more softening because you're having to figure out how to stretch, but also hardening other muscles around so that
trying to balance out.
Yeah.
Because running is so repetitive. You can do a lot of running, but if that's all you're doing, you're only, you're really imbalancing yourself. Running and biking are a good combo because they work different sets, but running with, the strengthening, biking, yoga, and like just trying to like mix everything, doing a different mix every day is probably better. So
yeah. I even find that I mix if I know, like, I'm having to really batch task in order to get myself to concentrate to do things and actually get something done. So today was gardening day.
Yeah.
So since I knew I was going to be doing that, I did more stretching.
Yeah.
With my yoga stuff this morning, especially my hips. Because I think it's still recovering from when I slipped on the stairs and really bruised, and I think I really sprained my tailbone this winter.
Yeah.
And so I'm still like every other week at the chiropractor, and he's putting everything back together and stretching and strengthening around it. And then I go back and see him, and he puts it back together.
Oh yeah.
But it's still healing from that. So but now if I'm going to be doing office day,
then
I do, I incorporate more push-ups or jumping jacks or all of the above so that I'm getting a heavier workout in my morning practice.
Yeah. I'm curious, Rose, what are you doing differently this summer and then when you've been so active with your work? Like how are you doing with stuff?
Well, it's kind of a whole new arena for me because like I started last year kind of at the tail end of summer, so I only had like a month and a half of the heavy work, and then we went right into like leaf cleanups and stuff, which is still heavy work. But I don't know. I've been trying to do a lot more stretching because, and my chiropractor's been having me do like mirror stretching. So he's like, if you're doing this at work, do something like this, because I had, there's a joint right underneath my shoulder that, if it gets aggravated and stuff, it like gives me chest pain and like all down my arm and stuff. It's awful. So trying to balance that out. And then he and I are still trying to like undo, so like all winter I did snow removal, but with a shovel. So it was constant twisting. And so my back literally started to like twist in on itself. And it's as painful as it sounds. So we're still trying to correct that. And I don't know. So I'm just trying to do a lot more stretching, and like I've been doing like ballet bar exercises, trying to just get really fluid movement and soft movement. Yeah, and also trying to drink way more water because
you're dry at work.
Yes, yeah,
you're balancing. Yeah, that's the truth. I was outside today. I thought of you, Rose, because I haven't done hard work, but we were out planting trees today. So it was like shoveling and digging and, you know, moving big trees. And I was doing a little bit lighter work because I was trying to protect my hamstring. So I was just wheelbarrowing wood chips around and spreading those. So that was pretty light, but man, being out in the sun and out in that hot weather for hours and hours a day. And I was asking the other students like how they were doing with it. And they said the first 3 days was like getting hit by a semi. Like they were so exhausted. And they said they're getting more used to it now, and they're figuring out how to like take breaks and pace themselves and drink a lot of water and stuff. But yeah, it's in the labor itself, you know, even if it was dry and cool, the labor would tire you out. But when you add the dehydration and the sun, whew.
It's been really difficult because I'm a troll at heart, and I'm like, I like the shade, I like the cool, dank cave, and
this
so,
is so
yeah,
bright.
Yes, and so I'm like constantly squinting. I don't want to get sunglasses tan. I don't want to have raccoon eyes all summer. So,
what about one of those big brimmed hats? Is that appealing to you at all, or not really?
Not really,
because it's kind of hot, but
they're really hot.
Yeah.
So I put my hair in a bun, so my neck is really now. But I forgot where I was going.
Oh no, you were saying you don't want to wear sunglasses.
Cool. Yeah, and so yeah, the first couple weeks of the heat, man, that took so much out of me. And still, I don't like it. So yeah, but I've kind of noticed I'm getting a little more accustomed to it, and I like pray every morning fervently for like clouds to pass over or like a breeze or something. Yeah. Because a breeze makes so much difference, especially when you're sweaty. You're like, ooh, an air conditioner. Yeah. But yeah, just learning to like pace myself at work, because I'm a very competitive, Joe would know I'm a very competitive person. So I try to keep up with my boss, who's been doing it for, 15, 20 years, and he's solid muscle and can do anything. And I'm just like, I can do what you can do too. And I really can't. So I'm trying to like figure out like a balance of, okay, when do I need to push myself and keep going like mentally, or when do I need to stop physically because it's getting too much, or I just need like a breather or something. So that's finding a balance for me is really difficult. So yeah. And having grace with myself is also
yeah, for real. Yeah, today at one point, everybody's all the college students. I work with about 10 college students, and then I have a coworker who I work with all year. And the college students just work in the summer, and they've been working together. I think this is their third week, second or third. Well, we're almost anyway, second or third week. So they're all still getting to know each other, and they stopped for lunch, right about noon, and I'd gotten there later, so I was tempted to like just keep working, just like same as you, like I just want to like keep going. And I was like, no, this is really important to like stop and drink water first of all, like find some water somewhere, and just like hang out and talk and get to know them. And that's, I mean, it's funny because it's another type of balance, right? Like it's that relational balance versus get the job done, task oriented, and I was really glad I was convicted to kind of stop and do that, because I got to have some great conversations, and we compared foods that we didn't like when we were kids and foods that we like now. And it was just like, it was just fun, like hang out, and it makes the work so much nicer later on when you've invested some time in that relation. And I'm just babbling here, but it just strikes me as like another way to balance, right? Is that task oriented versus relationship and resting, and that gives your body a break too at the same time, and you're drinking, so there's a lot of balances going on there.
And that go and rest, it when you bring that balance in, that's what keeps you going. Right, which isn't always like easy equilibrium. For all of us. But I remembered hearing it was another book. Oh shoot, Stop Worrying and Start Living. I'll think of who wrote it. Very famous inspirational guy at the very beginning of everything. Taught a lot of sales guys. But anyway, he was saying he was watching these people work, and there was this one old guy that was getting more done than everyone else. But what he would do is work a while, and then he sat for a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd work a while again, and then he'd sit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was doing exactly that. He was just pacing himself, and he'd work till he was kind of tired, and then he'd rest up. And then he'd have the energy to work again and keep going. And so
Yeah, like
I
I tend to want to just keep bowling through and get it done. But I've noticed, like, yeah, if I kind of just like, okay, I'm really parched, or I'm like sweating, I need to take just a breather, and I try to find a little spot of shade and just like breathe for a couple minutes and drink a bunch of water and then go back to work, you know. So yeah, and you just kind of do that. Once you kind of start feeling your steam going out, you do that, and then you can bounce back and keep going. So yeah, I try.
You're in good company in this crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the better you can learn how to do that, and to do that balance. And then when you've worked hard in the day, stretch out at the end of it. Stretch before, stretch after, so that you keep that balance.
Yeah, you're less likely to injure yourself that way too. I mean, if you think about it, if you're taking care of your body all day long, you're less likely to injure yourself or set yourself behind. And I've yet to figure that out. So I'm talking to myself a little bit.
Yeah,
there.
Yeah. Yep. So I say I think we're all in good company on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But remembering that for as hard as you work here, you gotta soften here, or keeping things in balance. For as much as you work hard all by yourself here and are just so totally goal driven, it's good to balance that with the relational time, where you just sit and let your mind rest, giving your mind that balance of pushing the envelope so hard, but then just time to relax. The cycle of the day, within the day. Epiphany here. You have your times of that. You've got those pitta times, which are super focused, but then you have the relational time with your kapha time. You have your vata, which is your inspirational. So there's balance built into the day. Just honoring those rhythms of, expanding really hard into your work, pushing your body really hard, pushing your mind really hard, but then allow it to just contract and rest. For however much your brain has been working hard and your body's been contracted in front of computer screens for some of us, then you need to go out and do something and expand, let your mind contract and rest, and your body expand and move to keep things. I mean, that was one of the things that I read that you were doing. I thought, oh, yay. It's easier in the home office, I think, sometimes. Mine just happens, so it makes it hard to get my work done sometimes. But, certain amount of sit there and do it, and then go water for a while, go do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Mark and I are gonna start this new thing where at the end of the day, like today, we're just gonna try to like quit work around 4:30, 5 o'clock and go swim. Or yesterday he ran and I biked with him. And it wasn't like, I mean, when he's running and I'm biking, it's not a workout, but it's just like we're talking and we're moving and we're breathing. You know what I mean? It's just a great way for us to like transition from work to the evening together, So tonight we swam. We couldn't really talk over swimming very well, but I think that's something we want to try to work on, because it kind of hits a lot of those balances, right?
Right. And sometimes just consciously doing it and realizing, oh, I've been like this. Now I need to be like
Mhm.
this. My brain's
Yeah.
been super focused. It needs to chill out and my body needs to move. Or my body's been moving hard. It needs to rest. And however it works. But
Yeah.
consciously bringing that balance and realizing that there's cycles, expansion, contraction, and how you can
Hmm.
leverage that really to keep yourself where you want to be.
Hmm. Yeah, I was
I
just
read,
thinking about how our the way our day runs, like we naturally have these expansion and contraction cycles like you're talking about. And then how
mm-hmm,
often we feel like we have to fight them because we have these opposing agendas, you know, that we think like, oh, well, I have to get all of this done. So rather than working with the cycles, I tend to try to force my, you know, almost have like this false cycle on it. And anyway, that's kind of interesting. I gotta think that over a little bit. It
yeah,
sure is nice being able to work from home sometimes versus having, you know, like having this expectation of, you know, like, and for the kids too, like they have to get up so early and go to school, and that's probably good for them, but at the same time, like anyway. And then too, like I have to work, you know, from like 8 to 4 or something like that, and that doesn't fit my right now. When I'm at home, I have a much different natural cycle. You know, I'm just getting started at 10,
yes,
and then
yeah,
working from 10 to 4 feels good, you know, with some breaks in there and whatnot. But um anyway, I gotta think
mm-hmm,
about that. That's interesting.
yeah. But that's leveraging your natural times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at 10 is when you go into that pit of more focused work time,
Mm-hmm.
where up until then, that's a good time to do more rote kind of job things or things
Yeah,
that
the
you
housework,
set yourself
like
up.
getting the
Yeah,
laundry and the food prepped and that kind of stuff
yeah,
sets me up so that I can go to work at 10 o'clock, right? Otherwise, I'm
exactly.
distracted and frustrated. And anyway,
Right. And then you're more
huh.
efficient because you're working within just the natural rhythms and the flows of how
Mm-hmm.
things want to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you guys amazed that there's not enough hours to sleep in the summer, and in the winter there's not enough daylight hours to get the stuff done you want to do?
Yep.
That's such a struggle right now. Talking about imbalances, huh? I'm just
Yep.
not getting the 8 hours of sleep that I really want.
Yeah.
Oh well.
What do you, so Rose, you're kind of in a uh position, you're the one that has to get up and go to work and get X amount of work done in X amount of time per your boss. Uh so you're taking breaks. What
Mhm.
else can you do to balance more? Because your back is telling you that you've been silly and out of balance someplace.
Yeah.
Somehow. It's speaking to you. What is it telling you?
Mm. Well, I've been realizing that I've been under a lot of stress the past couple of weeks. Like, I've had some big things on my mind, like moving and future job stuff and like big life decisions. And so I've been like, as I'm weeding at work or whatever, and kind of it's mindless, I can kind of drift off into that. And then I realize I've spent 3 hours like stressing about what the heck I want to do with my life. And then it's like, whoa, okay, I've gotten myself all riled up and my body is showing the physical signs of that stress big time. And I haven't had this much joint pain in a long time because I had learned to kind of like balance it out and stuff. But this is a whole new like work situation right now. And yeah, so I don't know. I've been struggling with the balance thing. So if you guys have any advice whatsoever, I'll be more than happy to take it. But yeah, times have just been kind of overwhelming. And I've been trying to like, what I have been doing, I haven't been super great this week, but since we started the early, or not that, start your day right habit, I was getting up like 45 minutes before I had to get ready for work, which is a long time for me. I would leisurely, like drink some water, go to the bathroom. Then I'd come back and I'd sit and I'd read 2 chapters of my Bible and pray a little bit and then get on with my day. And then right before I go to bed, I read the last 2 chapters and then go to sleep. But so that was like helping a lot with just kind of like calming me down and clearing my head. And then I was able to fall asleep a lot faster, which is also a big thing. But because of the craziness of this week, I've kind of just like bleh, forgotten that. And so I want to try and get back on that train. But yeah, the balance thing has been an issue, obviously. So I don't know.
So, yeah. What do you think would help balance? Because it sounds to me like your body and your mind are working hard at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in the heat. So you're generating a lot of heat on all your levels.
Yes.
Simultaneously.
Yes. All the heat, all the levels. Yes.
Yes. What comes to your mind as you think about balance and cooling? Balancing the heat and the cool. And I guess, Andrea, if you have any input, because I know that you are also a temperamentally hot person, you know, the pitta person. Yep. And do hot outdoor things that heat the body, and the mind can get going pretty hard. And how do you...
So yeah, I can totally relate, Rose. Yep. In fact, like lately, I get it right here. Like I'll get like almost chest pain because I've stopped breathing, and I have to stop and just be like, you know what? Sometimes I'm not talking about the heat and the work part, but like the thinking and like getting like all bunched up in the shoulders and tight in the chest. And I have to remember, like, am I gonna solve this right now? Nah, probably not. So I have to like take, and this is where that yoga training has been so helpful for me, is just like that breathing and then like letting your shoulders, you know, like pushing your shoulders away from your ears. You know, they'll say sometimes in the video, let your shoulders away from your ears and like lead with your heart. You know, that's the other, like lead with your heart. That just like helps your posture open up so that you can breathe. Because a lot of times when I'm like worrying or at my computer or stressing, I'm just like caving in on myself. So I mean, just like even some of those physical reminders that like to open my breathing up and breathe, and then just like that mental, I do this little mental connection where I say, look up, look down, and just be in this moment. And I look up and remember that God's sovereign and that I don't have to be, right? Like, I don't have to have the next 5 years planned out, because I never do. I rarely know what's happening in the next 3 months, let alone 5 years. But and yet I'm very predictable. I'm not that exciting of a person. But anyway, so I look up, remember God is sovereign, and look down and remember that like I'm grounded to my place, and like just, you know, just some of that like earthiness that I need, and then just be in this moment. Like, and for some reason, like that act of look up, look down, and just be right here. You know, don't try to like be, you know, in the past, like, you know, judging myself, or, you know, some of that crazy stuff that your mind, like just be right here in this moment and be grateful. And that helps me just like almost cool down and slow down. It takes a minute, you know, to like remind myself to breathe and open up. So that was one thought I guess I would share. And I've learned all of that stuff just through this class, basically. And then, I mean, I think talking with others and processing, in useful way. I mean, sometimes like I go around stuff in my head and it just like, I just chase it in circles and it's so frustrating. And I know when you're out reading, like I can do that for a while. And then after a while, I just have to put something else in my head, like something useful, like music or a podcast or a book or something else. Cause otherwise I will just chase thoughts and I'll get so frustrated. I don't feel like I'm actually solving anything, but I don't know.
Chasing
And then you take time to
rarely
process
spiral.
that with someone else, like your
Yeah,
mom or a
that's the
sister or a
thing,
good
like,
friend or
yeah, all of my friends are not around, so and my boyfriend's not even around, so like
yeah.
I don't really talk much, and my boss, he's a guy, he's not a talkative guy, he's just like, hey, go grab me that block, okay, and then that's our conversation
That's it.
for
Yeah.
hours,
Yeah.
so I really miss, and I was actually thinking about that recently, I really miss having like people at work to talk to.
Yeah.
And even though I'm like very introverted, I love people and I want to connect with people. So I really
Those are good things to notice about yourself and just jot down, because then as you're thinking about what you want to do,
I
those are
actually
things
made a
that
list
are
of
good for you.
things.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I made a list of Josh was like, make a bunch of lists, and I was like, I love making lists, so I made a whole bunch. And
That's a good thing to put on your list.
yeah. So and I was like, I really want somewhere where I can have at least like one-on-one conversations with people, because I don't like big group conversations because I don't talk and I'm like, I just like to listen. But so like sometimes another lady who works for us would come help, and then she and I would talk because she was the mom of one of my friends, and so we'd talk about her and whatever, and it was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then I come home and I'm usually just so tired, I'm like, I don't want to talk, or not to sound insane, but I talk to myself on the way home to keep myself awake.
Yeah.
And
That's
then I
great.
get home, I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to talk. I just want my water and my coffee and my dinner, and I'm done for the day,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's,
The thing, because I'm a good tail chaser in my head too. And having something else to listen to, a story, I know Andrea does podcasts, and you can listen to some amazing stuff that
Mm-hmm.
will inspire and help and teach. And then block out time.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself like 5-10 minutes, but let stuff just sit on the back burner, especially when you're doing something really heavy duty physical, is not a great time to do heavy duty thinking
mm-hmm.
because you're building too much heat at one time. You get out of balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So reserving that time is helpful. That's my quiet time in the morning. And then at nighttime, I make my brain just shut up and do the practices that are just quiet. You have to be quiet now. Stuff can percolate on the back burner, but not so much out front, or it just comes front and let's go. Yeah. But yeah, I think you'll like if you do the exercise that we did last week, and you could do it around some of the issues that you're thinking about to kind of help process and tease out, what do I want? What's important to me?
Mm-hmm.
That might be helpful. But uh, yeah, kind of balancing what's happening at one time. Kind of what Andrea said about if you're doing the physical mindless work, that works great for a time, but then you either have to find something else to occupy your brain, or go do something else for a while, which you don't always have the option of doing because you've got what you have to do.
Well, so sometimes like in the wintertime, I did listen to music and stuff because I got like soundproof headphones, Bluetooth headphones, and so I just plug in my music, and that job didn't require a lot of talking, so I just like I don't have to. but at the job site, I kind of have to be like aware if he talks to me or something like that. So I have been actually, was it last week? I think it was last week. I've been listening to some books, and I found a Scottish history podcast that I've been listening to.
Oh yeah.
And then I also made like a playlist of like really like motivating
You're
music.
already doing the stuff. You're so smart.
So I've been trying to do that more and just keep at least like one headphone in so I can still hear him if he says
Perfect.
something. And
Yeah.
it really does make a difference because like it gets my brain like really focused, and I tend not to think so much, which is good.
Overthink.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying.
Yeah. Well, but when you bring it's always interesting to me how you can be doing something, and then when you realize, oh, that's what I'm doing when I do that. Now I get it. Now I can use that as a tool instead of it just being something that you did by accident. And but you can correlate, and so then that gives you a step 2 to start saying, oh, okay, so that's what I need to do, or something along those lines. What else can I do as well? Or when you bring conscious thought to it and you're aware of what you're doing and why and how it's working for you or not, then you can do something about it. It gives you a tool.
I'm also I'm thinking about your back stuff, and I don't know, I'm wondering, like with your ballet and stuff, you do are there stretches or movements that you do or that you know that seem to help loosen it up or relax or help?
Yeah, like I like to do like the port de bras, which is a lot of like the back, like the arm movements and positions. And it's really like, it feels good because it really like helps me lift up right here. And even just standing in good posture, and there's stretches that make you go forward and then lift up and go back and to the side. And so that does help. And it's really calming for me too, which also helps. But yeah, and
I'm just wondering if that's something you can incorporate into your work day, like when you stop for lunch and you're taking some breather, or I know at the end of your day you're probably just ready to get home and stuff, but I'm just wondering if like that kind of movement partway through the day or when you take a break, if that would balance and counter, and if it's something that you really enjoy and already know, it would be. And I'm just picturing you working in like these beautiful settings of like gardens and stuff, and you're doing like all your movements with your music in, just going to a happy place.
Yeah, my chiropractor has basically said the same, like been reminding me to like do some stretches throughout the workday, which I don't always remember to do, but I do really try to remember. And sometimes I write like a little note like on my lunch bag or something, like, hey, stretch or something.
Yeah.
And
it's your new sticker on your water bottle. Give your water bottle a nice tattoo with markers of a ballet.
Man, sorry, I'm like really scatterbrained. I had something else to say, and
I keep interrupting. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Oh my.
You're saying your chiropractor is reminding you to do things.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I totally like that train derailed.
My man, Ben.
It's all good.
That's okay.
Yep.
Gone now.
It'll come back.
Yep. So nice. This has been a great discussion.
Yeah, I actually
was hoping to get you two together, quite honestly.
It's just fun to hear more about Rose's life. I'm always so curious.
About me specifically, or just people in general?
No, you. Oh. You and your life. I think your job just sounds super interesting. So.
It can be. It can
Yeah.
be.
I know it's a
Also-
lot of work.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. Woo. But I also have to say that I love the color of green in that room. Like the
Thank
wall
you.
color is so cool.
I
love
love it so much. Like I'm really happy I went with this color because it's really bold. My
Yeah,
mom,
it is.
yikes, that's like green. I'm like, yeah, it's really green. So
Mhm.
everywhere you
Is
look,
this your room?
yes, yep. You can
Mhm.
see my swords hanging up right here.
Yes, I do. I didn't know if it was like the study at your house or if it was your room. For some reason I don't remember your room being that color green before, but it's very striking today.
Well, when my brother moved out, because I was living in the basement, and then I moved up here and repainted his room. So, and I got to have plants because I have windows finally. So they've kind of taken over everything. Every nook and cranny has plants in it.
Nice.
Yes, yes.
Lovely.
But hey, I'll actually turn the screen around and you can see part of them. Let's see.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
wow. Nice.
Yeah, you're crowded. Oh, they're Oh wow, they're so cute. I love
there's
'em.
plants hanging up there too.
Oh,
And then
Yeah.
there's one in the corner.
I saw that one.
on the
Yep.
bookshelf. Three on top of that bookshelf,
Nice.
and then a terrarium right here too.
Wow, look at you.
You know, it's kind of gone a little
That's
crazy,
great.
but hey.
So are you interested in going into something like with landscaping or plants or something like that? It seems like you have a bit of a passion here.
Yeah, I've kind of discovered my passion for plants. I may not know squat about plants, but I love them anyway.
Yeah. A lot of people don't love plants, so that's good to identify that you do love plants.
Yeah, I was like, man, I can have plants now, and like I said, I kind of went crazy, but I've kind of come to the decision I don't want to do landscaping the rest of my life, and I think it's just too hard on me. It really is. So I might like that it's hard work, but my body doesn't like that so much. And I like to think that I'm tough, but I can't do everything. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. And that's another thing, like thinking about, okay, what do I want to do? I've been thinking about going something with like forestry or just some kind of trade work because I like working with my hands, and so there's all kinds of things I want to do, but I don't think I have a life long enough to do all of them. So we'll see.
Oh, you never know. You never know.
don't
You
know.
can
Never
just
know.
keep changing every 2 years and you can get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah. So I have no idea what I want to do. But yeah, just something outdoorsy and
Horticulture-ish.
yeah, kind of. Yeah.
There's so many different directions you can go with those interests though. So keep exploring, you'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
Keep trying.
And I've done like every kind of job under the sun, like everything. So yeah.
You've already eliminated a lot of possibilities.
Yes. Yes, I've done like grocery, retail, customer service, nannying, butchering, landscaping, dancing, martial arts, photography, writing. I mean,
Nice job.
yes.
You're like the full package. You'd be very valuable to some people, some businesses.
So who knows? Who knows what
Yep.
the holds, but yeah.
You're in like that exciting time, that picture that Jill drew us one time. I think it was before you started, of like this like cyclone of chaos, and you're like trying to like pull bits and pieces together to like ground you, and it sounds like you're figuring out what's grounding you and what's not grounding you, and it's
Slowly
exciting
but
stuff.
surely, yeah.
What?
Slowly but surely, yeah.
Yeah, it comes.
Hey, Rose,
Yeah.
finish watching last week's video.
Okay.
And we did an exercise with cares, values, beliefs, what you're for, your needs.
I was just getting to that part and then it stopped working first. So okay. I'll try to
Do
go back
that.
and try to get it.
Yeah, I have it posted on YouTube now too, so it'll work.
Okay.
Yeah, on there. If you go on to the forum, then it links in there. But
Okay.
and then would you post some of what you do with that?
On the forum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd love to see what you extract and what you discover out of that.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. So balance, breath, body. Yep. It's all good. Works for the body, works for the mind. I love this. You guys have made me think about some stuff.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to niggle. That's when you think something in your brain for a while, right? And niggle about the balances of my day and the doshas. I'm kind of excited to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
I think this has been my favorite class so far. I don't know, because I've had more
Woo.
better conversations and stuff, and well, actual conversations, not just.
That's because you like small groups.
Yeah, and I kind of come out of my shell a little more, obviously.
Yeah.
In a small group, so this was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun
I'm
stuff.
glad you guys both made it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
it worked
like I
out
said,
good.
Yeah. Yes. So, and we're going to check
right.
in with you, Rose, because I know Rose has a goal of this big, huge trip in
Yes.
fall.
I think
And
actually
so,
it's next year because my dad didn't get his licenses for this year, but so we're hoping, and it's not 100% thing yet. Like there's some logistical things we're trying to figure out, and we have to get the hunting licenses, of course. But yeah, and he and I are still talking. Like, hopefully I can do it, and I have to just knuckle down and get the training done too.
yeah.
But,
Well,
yeah.
but this is why I actually thought of you, and I wanted to get you together with Andrea on this habit. Because bringing that balance, and that you need the strength and the cardio,
mm-hmm.
but you have to balance it with the softening.
Yeah.
And because otherwise your body's going to break down when you try and do the strength and the cardio.
Mm-hmm.
What is the trip you're wanting to do? I'm curious.
So my dad
Hunting
and I,
licenses.
yes, I've had a my dad and I've had a lifelong dream of going elk hunting together out west. He was talking about Montana and potentially Colorado. Anyway, so it's very heavy hiking, and then obviously if you shoot one, you have to pack it out. So that's like a huge animal that you have to lug out to your base camp, and then whatever. But so the only part I'm like, I do enjoy walking and stuff, but like hiking for like hours and hours is like, I want to shoot myself. So, but just the prospect of doing something really awesome with my dad, that's been a lifelong dream. And I've always wanted to get like a big bull elk and stuff. Like, how epic would that be to have like the two antlers hanging up right there? But anyway, so that's kind of a tentative goal. Again, life's kind of up in the air for me right now, so I don't really know if that'll happen, but it's hopefully.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. We should go. Thank you, guys.
Fami's
All right.
calling.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right.
So, Rose, I
Enjoy your.
want to see your
enjoy your-
thoughts.
Okay.
And yeah, Andrew, I'd love to see your thoughts too as you niggle this out.
The trick is to remember to actually niggle it out. Have all these. I love our gatherings, and then I like hit end meeting, and then I like feel like I go back to real life, and then I don't always remember to think it all the way through. But I'll work on
Yeah.
it.
Hear ya.
I like it.
All righty. Yes.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Good night.
All right,
Good night.
see ya.
Have a great week.
Yep, you too.